is that we believe God. It's not that I'm looking at you to be perfect, you looking at me to be perfect, but it is so that we believe God. That's what it's about. It is about believers. If we can get our focus back on what we need to be believing in, we will quit looking so much at each other and saying, oh, look at what she's doing. You must don't see what he's doing. You must ain't heard about this. See, we'll focus on what is happening externally around us when our focus should be the fact that we are all believers coming together. And what are we believing God for? We're believing God for his deliverance, which means he's going to free us. We are believing God that he is going to provide for us. We are believing God that he is going to be our Father and that he's going to maketh us lie down in green pastures. We are believing God and his word. It is not about the people that are around. So we have to, first of all, connect to a body of believers, not a body of perfect people, because you're not going to ever find them, but a body of believers. Now, let me throw this sidebar in, just the pastor inside of me. I'm going to throw this in. It is when I say a body of believers, it is one thing to deal with people that have issues or have habits, but there is another thing to deal with people that are busybody and they are sowing discord among the brethren. Those type things are things that God hates. And so those things are not to be a part of believers, but we're all believing that the Lord is going to help us. The Lord is going to strengthen us. The Lord is going to see us through. He's going to revive us. We are all a body of believers. So you want to connect. That's point A. Point 2, when you're positioning yourself to be saved, this is the second point. You need to disassociate yourself from things that prohibit salvation. Anything that is going to block you in your salvation, you want to disassociate yourself from it, because it's only going to make your struggle that much greater. Your flesh is already in a state of shock because it's doing something that it never did, and it doesn't want to die. It doesn't want to surrender. So it's already going through a great element of shock. And so if you keep the association, the same association around, then it's only going to make your salvation be that more of a greater struggle. So you have to disassociate yourself from things that prohibit salvation. Prohibit means that it stops it. It ceases it from coming to pass. So that's what you're going to have to do. Point C in positioning yourself to be saved. This is what you have to do. You have to develop habits that become you. Develop habits that become you. Notice I use the word become you, because that means it's not you when you first start doing it. It is not you when you first pick up the Bible. For the very first time that you pick it up, it's not you yet. It's not you when you say a prayer. It's not you yet. It's not you when you give. It's not you yet. You have to continue in those habits until they become you, till you get to a point as to where every day you're going to make sure that you read your word. Every day you're going to make sure that you pray. Every time you come in the house of God, you're going to make sure that you are giving. These things have to become you. They have to become you. So what you have to do is you have to develop habits that become you. That's point C. Point D is you have to submit to a mentor or a coach. That is like one of the most hardest things to get people to do, especially grown people that deem themselves grown. Nobody can tell me what to do. That is like the hardest thing to get people to do, is to submit themselves unto a mentor or a coach. A mentor is going to be mentor. It is going to be an extension or an expressed extension, which means the hand is extended out. And the hand being extended out means it is going to thrust you further. It is going to take you into higher heights and deeper depths. So that is a mentor. A coach is somewhat synonymous in that area, because a coach is going to coach the skills that you have. You already possess the skills. The coach can't put the skills in you. They can just only develop or coach the skills that you have. So you have to submit yourself to a mentor or a coach. That is part of your salvation, because think about it. You're coming into something and you know nothing about it. You know nothing about it. You know nothing. If you do know, you know based off of somebody else, because it hasn't become a personal experience of yours. So you're doing it based off of somebody else. So therefore, you need a coach. You need a mentor, someone to help you in those areas. So you have to have a mentor or a coach. So when you're positioning yourself, go ahead and make the mental notation that I've got to get me a coach. I've got to have a mentor in this salvation thing, or I'm not going to be able to do it like I need to do it. Next thing that you have is this right here. Point number, I'm using A, B, C, D, and E. So I'm giving you 5 points in positioning yourself. So E is going to be this right here. You're going to become a blank canvas. And I'm going to explain that to you. Some stories are better rewritten. Some stories are better rewritten. Have you ever noticed that when writers write, they do something called a rough draft? A rough draft. A rough draft is usually when you're just spilling out your thoughts, but you don't have time to do correct punctuation. You don't have time to do grammatic spelling checks. You really just don't have time to do all those different things. So what happens is that you have to become a blank canvas. It is imperative that you become a blank canvas, because some stories are so much better when they are rewritten. Because when you rewrite those stories, you look at those stories, what you do is you go back and you look, and you can usually see details that you've left out. You can generally see things that are missing. You can see punctuation that's not like it's supposed to be. You can see spelling that is not like it's supposed to be. And so you have to become a blank canvas. And what it means is that even maybe so what you have heard, all through the years, that you have to dismiss those things and become a blank canvas in order for salvation to be effective. So let me go through them again with you. Let me go through them again. The steps to salvation, coming out of John chapter 3, using verses 1 through 3. This is what we're doing. You have to first, when you want to be saved, and you want to be saved for real, is realize that you need to be saved. You got to realize, man, I can't keep doing this. I'm done. I'm tired. I can't keep living like this. I need to be saved. So you have to realize that you need to be saved. The second thing is you have to position yourself to be saved. In positioning yourself, what does position mean? It means you bring yourself into alignment. That's what it means to be positioned. Bring yourself into alignment. No one else can bring you into alignment. You have to bring yourself. So you position yourself or bring yourself into alignment to be saved. And so this is what positioning yourself is going to include. It is going to include connecting yourself to a body of believers. So no, you're not going to be saved sitting at home on Sundays, sitting at home on Tuesdays. You're not going to be saved in the the fullness of your salvation is not going to come. It is not going to come by you watching a television evangelist. It's not going to come like that. You have to connect yourself to a body of believers, not perfect people, but believers. Believers, what do they believe? If they believe that Jesus is the Son of God and that he lived on this earth, that he died and he rose again with all power in his hand, those are some good believers. If they believe on the Lord Jesus Christ. Point B, in positioning yourself, just reiterating and recapping for you all, you have to disassociate yourself from things that prohibit salvation. So if it's not going to encourage your salvation, you have to disassociate yourself from it. Next point is you have to develop habits that become you. This means this is where you want to go. This is what you want to do. This is what you're in hot pursuit of. These things that are going to become you. No, it's not you right now. No, it's not. So yeah, you came and you gave, you came to service and then the next thing you know, you was doing something after you left service. It has to become you, y'all. This has to become you. When I first got saved, it wasn't me. It was something that I had to become. It was a lot of times it was just something I was doing. But if you keep doing it long enough and connect your heart to it sincerely, it will become you. So develop habits that become you. Next point is you have to submit yourself to a mentor or a teacher. Kill that part inside of you that says, I'm grown. I'm grown. Because the Lord says, except you come as a little child, you can in no wise enter into the kingdom of heaven. So you're going to have to humble yourself under the mighty hand of God. You're going to have to bring yourself to be submissive. There is authority over every one of us to some capacity, and you're going to have to bring yourself under authority. So submit yourself to a mentor / coach. The last point is this: become a blank canvas. Do away with all that stuff. Don't come with no preconceived notions, because you don't know what salvation is. You haven't ever been saved before. So you don't know what salvation is about. So don't let people fill your head up with all this old stuff that's out here with people trying to tell you what salvation is. Well, I didn't think no Christian was supposed to do this. I didn't say nothing about the sinning that you were doing. You don't let people get into your psyche as it relates to that, because there are going to be times when you are becoming that you're going to make mistakes. You're going to fall sometimes. So don't let people, while your story is being written and you are becoming, don't let people make you feel less than during that period of time in your life. But this is the steps to salvation. I really believe that there are some of you that will hear this, that it is a great inspirational word to you. It is something, that little push that you needed in order to encourage you to grab a hold of the reins that you know that you want to grab a hold of. You know you want to live for God. You know it is time for you to live for God. So this is for those of you that are in that place. Those of you that are in that place, you know it's what you want. You know it's what you need. I wanted to give you some encouragement in order to help you to get over your hurdles, to help you to push you on further into where it is that you desire to be. Okay, I'm going to close this out here. I'm going to have a word of prayer. I'm going to give you an opportunity to send messages to me, Give me your feedback about the podcast, with what about the subject we talked about. Also, give me your feedback about new subjects and all that you would like to hear us talk about. I'm going to release some contact information in order for you to be able to do that. If you have subjects that you would like for us to talk about, if you have my number personally, you can go ahead and text me, and that'll be fine. If you don't, you can always send an inbox to my personal page on Facebook, which is Delphine Lee with Msphine out in parentheses, or you can send it to the Total Restoration Empowerment Ministries Trim in parentheses page inbox, and I will be sure to get those and to write those down. You can also email if you so desire, and it is